Amazing Puppies Exposed. How one small donation changed a swing for 100 dogs forever. Sarah's heart raced as she clutched her phone, staring wide-eyed at the heartbreaking post. Meadows Haven, the local animal shelter, was on the brink of shutting down. Unforgettable faces of playful puppies and gentle dogs filled the screen, all looking for homes they might never find. No way could she let that happen. In her cozy suburban town of Maplewood, where everyone knew each other's names, it felt wrong to let those innocent lives be lost. She thought of her own children, Mia and Ethan, who adored their fluffy rescue Max. The idea of sweet pups losing their chance to be loved pushed her to action. Gathering her resolve, she set up an online fundraiser, fingers trembling with hope and fear. "We can save them," she whispered to herself, taking a deep breath. She pictured Mia's and Ethan's bright smiles as they played with their furry friend. It was more than a mission. It felt like a lifeline connecting her family to her community, stitched together by shared values and kindness, a lifeline that had begun to fray under the weight of her struggles. As the days rolled by, Sara found herself entangled in the joys and heartbreaks of motherhood and entrepreneurship. Juggling a dog grooming business while caring for her children felt like an uphill battle. The bills piled up, each one weighing heavier on her shoulders than the last. But she smiled through the exhaustion. That's what parents did, after all. Yet fears crept in. Would her effort be in vain? Would the community support her? Or was she just chasing a lost cause, as one local politician had called it? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then fate played a cruel hand. Just as support began to surge, disaster struck. A damaging setback sent her fundraiser into a downward spiral. Instead of the outpouring of love she had hoped for, doubt seeped into her heart like a cold winter gust. The excitement turned to tears, and for the first time, she wondered if her fight was worth it. Could a single mother with 2 kids of her own really make a difference? But then something remarkable happened. Her estranged father, Tom, a veteran battling his own demons, reached out. Their connection had been strained for years, but he couldn't ignore this call for help. They began to talk cautiously at first, with echoes of pain lingering between them. He knew struggle, and as they shared their burdens, they also began to gather support. Fellow veterans and affected community members joined forces with them, standing tall against the harsh criticisms that had once silenced Sara. As the final fundraising event loomed, Sara and Tom's relationship deepened. Together, could they confront the doubters and reclaim the dignity of their stories? The air buzzed with anticipation. Hope danced on the surface, but the question loomed larger than ever. Would they rally their community and save those 100 innocent dogs? Or would the weight of society's biases tear them apart? As the day of the fundraising event drew near, Sara's stomach fluttered with a mix of nerves and excitement. The buzzing atmosphere wrapped around her, making her heart race each time she thought of the puppies counting on her. She spent the last few days finalizing every detail. Banners, baked goods, and volunteer donations cluttered her kitchen, transforming it into a whirlwind of preparations. Tom had stepped in, helping more than she had ever imagined. His presence reminded her of the bittersweetness of family ties frayed but not broken. On the morning of the event, Maplewood Park radiated a sense of community. Bright balloons bobbed in the gentle breeze, and the laughter of children mixed with the joyful barks of dogs created a melody of hope. Sara couldn't help but smile as she watched her kids, Mia and Ethan, darting around with Max, their beloved dog. They seemed oblivious to the strains of adult worries and simply reveled in sunshine and friendship. At the same time, a knot twisted inside her. What if no one showed up? What if the donations fell short? She shook off the doubts, reminding herself of all the support they had received thus far. Tom was at her side, chatting with fellow veterans, their shared experiences forming an unexpected bond. She observed from a distance as they laughed and shared stories. It seemed for the first time in ages her family was starting to heal. "Sara," a voice called, breaking her trance. It was Marissa, a friend from the neighborhood who rushed over, her hands filled with treats. I brought cupcakes. The kids will love them. Sara's smile widened as she accepted the sweet offering. You're a lifesaver. Thank you. Around her, more familiar faces began to appear: neighbors, school parents, even some of the high school kids she once taught in a community class. Everyone came together for a shared purpose, and the sense of belonging was nearly overwhelming. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden glow over the park, a crowd gathered. Sara took a deep breath, her heart pounding in anticipation. She stood before the crowd, clutching a microphone that felt heavier than it should. Thank you all for being here today. She began. As many of you know, Meadows Haven needs our help. These dogs, her voice wavered as she choked on the words. They deserve a chance at love and safety. Together we can make a difference. A ripple of applause floated through the crowd. Encouraged, she continued. Let us show them that the love in our community can create more love. Can we do that? Yes. The chant echoed back as she felt the power of unity wrapping around her like a warm embrace. Just as hope soared, her heart sank again when she noticed a group of skeptics standing at the edge of the gathering. Their cynical expressions and crossed arms felt like thunderclouds threatening her sunny day. She fought back an inner wave of anxiety, but Tom stepped forward beside her, unwilling to let the negative energy dim her light. Let us show them what we can do, he exclaimed, rallying the crowd into cheers. As faces turned toward her, Sara locked eyes with those skeptics, and her heart surged with determination. But then, as if the universe had conspired against them, an ominous rumbling echoed above. Dark clouds began to gather, casting a shadow over the event. The distant sound of thunder mixed with the murmur of worried attendees. Would this storm dampen their hopes? Or would it forge even stronger bonds of resilience? All Sara could do was stand there, heartbeat racing as the first few drops of rain fell. Would they stand together or scatter? The question loomed as the winds began to pick up. The first drops turned into a steady drizzle, quickly picking up momentum. A mix of gasps and murmurs filled the air. Sara instinctively tightened her grip on the microphone, her heart thumping loudly. The crowd appeared uncertain. Were they here for the puppies? Or would the raindrops send them running? Stay calm, she called, her voice cutting through the roiling tension. We've got this. The words hung in the air, an anchor against the uncertainty. Tom moved closer, forming a barrier of support beside her. The clouds loomed heavier overhead, but she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe they could still make this work. Suddenly, with a loud crack, thunder rolled above, causing Mia to squeal and grab Ethan's hand tightly. Sara felt a wave of protectiveness wash over her. Yet, at that moment, the skeptics began to retreat, their raised eyebrows lower as if mocking her optimism. Would they take this storm as a sign that this was all pointless? Who's with me? Sara yelled, hoping the electricity of her passion would spark something in the crowd. As she glanced around, she noticed a few young volunteers beginning to shuffle the tables under the nearest pavilion. Recognizing the gesture, the crowd began to rustle, moving toward safety. Come on, let us keep this party going, Tom shouted, rallying everyone with infectious energy. The kids squealed in delight, caught up in the excitement, their laughter spilling over the somber atmosphere. In one swift motion, everyone sprang into action, gathering the baked goods, pulling out the big canopy that Marissa had brought. As the rain drummed steadily against the canvas, they transformed the space into a makeshift sanctuary. The spirit of determination left Sara breathless. It was more than a fundraiser now. It felt like a moment of collective resilience, an unwavering bond that fought against the storm. They're just puppies, said Mia, her eyes wide with amazement as she watched the adults work tirelessly. They need us. The innocent belief in her daughter's eyes brought a swell of pride to Sara's heart. Exactly, Sara replied, kneeling beside her children. And if we all come together, we can do this even on a stormy day. With a newfound fire igniting inside her, she stood tall, ready to face the crowd again. The canopy rustling overhead acted as a shield from the relentless rain, and slowly, the attendees who had retreated began to flow back in, curiosity piqued. We're not leaving yet, shouted Marissa from the side, her vibrant smile breaking through doubt. Emboldened, Sara took a deep breath, addressing the now gathered crowd. This isn't just about raising money. It's about raising spirits. And it's about these puppies. Each shout echoed against the raindrops, drawing in sleepy hearts with pulsating energy. Faces softened under the canopy light, and laughter replaced the nervous murmurs. Sarah's eyes met Tom's, the warmth of gratitude bubbling in her chest. Perhaps this event was meant to be a little spirited chaos. But in the midst of the new energy, she noticed a familiar face slipping back into the crowd, the lead skeptic who had been frowning at her speeches. Something about the anger etched on his face gripped her heart. She could feel her resolve strengthening again. Why did he doubt? What if he stood with them this time? Would it take more than rain to drive them apart? With the storm drumming on, another thought persisted, tugging insistently at her mind. Could her compassion be the light that shifted his heart? Let us share this story together, she called, her hope riding the waves of thunder. Would they find unity even in their differences, or would the storm drown their efforts? As she awaited their response, a powerful feeling surged through her. She had come this far. There was no turning back now. But would it be enough to change even one stubborn mind? The rain poured harder, and with it, the first glimmer of clarity filled her spirit. As the rain continued to cascade, Sara felt the energy shift like the storm clouds rolling overhead. Hands clutched tight around her microphone, she couldn't help but notice the crowd's shifting expressions. The uncertainty gradually melted into a blend of curiosity and determination. It was as if the very weather was working with them, a dramatic backdrop to their resolve. Can we make a stand for these little lives? She shouted, trying to pierce through the primal roar of thunder. Each shout echoed louder than the last, surging like the rain. Some in the crowd were now visibly nodding, faces lit with the glow of collective purpose. The kids, uninhibited by adult doubts, began chanting "Puppies! Puppies!" in sync, their voices rising above the storm. Sarah's heart thudded in her chest. These kids, innocent and brave, were the embodiment of hope. She glanced at Mia, whose eyes sparkled with unfiltered joy. "You hear them?" Sara beamed, pushing aside her worries. "Even in the rain they believe in our cause." Tom squeezed her shoulder, his enthusiasm infectious. "Let us show them what we've got," he encouraged, his voice booming through the storm. "Everyone, if you can help, grab a puppy picture from the table. We need to share their stories." With renewed zeal, Sara watched people move, driven by the sheer spirit in the air. Families clustered together, flipping through posters and pamphlets detailing the dogs up for adoption. Each picture told a story of resilience and love. Others began to form small circles, whispering plans and ideas, their voices rising like a melody over the rain. Among the flurry of activity, Sara noticed the skeptical man's furrowed brow. He stood just outside the cozy chaos, arms crossed, still wrestling with the weight of doubt. Her heart sank, sparking a drive within her. What if, under that skepticism, there lay a heart aching for connection? "Hey!" she called, her voice slicing through the downpour as she gestured for him to join. "Why not come over and learn more? We're trying to make a difference here." He hesitated, shifting his weight as the rain deflected off the canopy like anxious whispers. Sarah's breath caught. Would he ever understand? Would anyone change his mind? She recommended a case, a particular puppy who had spent weeks in their shelter, waiting for a family. Those eyes, they had the power to soften the toughest hearts, didn't they? The man blinked, a slight shift in his expression as he uncrossed his arms. For a fleeting moment, Sara thought she saw curiosity spark behind his eyes. "Look, everyone," she continued, "we're not just asking for donations. We're inviting you into a community, a family that cares. Together we can give these puppies the lives they deserve. Who's ready to help?" A loud cheer resonated through the pavilion, echoing even louder than the thunder. Lightning pierced the sky, and for a moment, it felt like the universe was blessing their commitment. Laughter intermingled with the rain, a beautiful contrast that ignited the spirit of camaraderie beneath the shelter. But then the moment paused. The weight of the man's stare bore down on Sara, a reminder of the lingering doubts that still surrounded them. Would he break through, or would resentment shield his heart? Tom noticed the silence, an urgent quirk of his brow pushing Sara to follow his gaze. She instinctively leaned forward, her heart racing. Just as she was about to speak again, another crack of thunder echoed above, mingling with the sudden roar of a nearby engine as an ambulance sped past them. In a heartbeat, everything shifted. Would this event be just a stir among the clouds? Or would it invoke a storm of change? The unfolding tension rode on the winds, asking, could this gathering become something transformative for the whole community? As the rain poured unrelentingly, the air crackled not just with water but with possibility. Could this be the moment that even the most hardened hearts could feel the warmth of hope? Would the storm lead them to a greater purpose, or would it wash away their efforts in a flash? Sara felt a lump in her throat as anxious anticipation rode over her like the thunder rolling in the distance, waiting for what would come next. The crowd stood in charged silence, a pulse of anticipation knitting them together beneath the volatile sky. Sara's heart raced as she caught the man's stare again. For a split second, she glimpsed something unfold, a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes that offered a glimmer of hope. Then came a voice from the back, a little girl's chiming laughter, carefree and infectious. Puppies need homes. They need us, she squealed, clutching a tattered teddy bear adorned with a tiny blue bandana, matching the one wrapped around the neck of the puppy pictured on a flyer in front of her. Sara felt a warmth swell in her chest. The man shifted again, his gaze drawn toward the innocent joy radiating from the children. He held on to skepticism, yet the harmony of laughter shattered the walls he'd built. Sara seized the moment, stepping closer to him, her eyes earnest. Do you see how much they care? She asked, her voice now softer, practically intimate against the backdrop of rain. The puppies can feel that too. They know they're worth it. Just like us. A low rumble of thunder echoed overhead, but Sara felt a spark of courage ignite inside her. She took a deep breath and pointed to the table cluttered with photos and stories, each one a plea for the forgotten lives just waiting for love. You could change a life today. Even just one small step can lead to big change. The man's expression wavered, his brow relaxing just a bit. Then Mia spun around in excitement, her golden curls bouncing like sunbeams against the gray sky. Can we save them all? The question hung in the air, both powerful and innocent. Suddenly a chorus of kids erupted once more, their voices melding with thunder, chanting, "Puppies need us. Puppies need homes." Inspired, Sara called out, "Let us do something amazing together. Who wants to help us find every puppy a loving family?" A wave of surprised joy swept through the crowd. People began to raise their hands, shouting their support, their energy rippling like electricity. Even the man, still hesitant, seemed torn between resistance and emerging belief. Sara felt the momentum build. Families now moved with purpose, forming teams, organizing tasks. Someone began to paint a giant sign reading "Adopt, Don't Shop," while others gathered photos and stories to share. Laughter cracked through the somber atmosphere, a lifeline of light cutting through the gloom. As the drizzle continued to fall in rhythmic patterns, a nearby child knelt to gently scratch the head of one of the foster puppies brought along for the event. The small dog looked up, tail wagging furiously, and Sara's heart swelled. It was clear love had a power that could move mountains, even the ones built from doubt and fear. Then suddenly, the ambulance sirens quieted and a low commotion arose from the crowd. It was the skeptical man stepping forward. I can't believe I'm saying this," he started, voice low but steady, "but maybe you're right. Maybe these little lives deserve more than just a chance." Gasps rippled through the crowd, and shades of surprise danced across their faces. Hope surged like a new wave, ready to crash against the shores of doubt. Just as a cry of joy erupted from the children, another clap of thunder marked a final decision. The man clenched his fists, resilience flickering anew. "I want to help. Show me what to do." Sara's heart soared. This was at the turning point, the collective breakthrough that sparked unstoppable change. She smiled wide, feeling as if every raindrop that fell today carried the weight of significance, and the crowd's response became a tidal wave of validation. As the rain began to lighten, a distant glow peeked through the clouds. Hope settled in the crowd like a warm blanket over winter chill. But just then, a loud barking erupted from somewhere beyond the edge of the pavilion, startling everyone. The crowd hushed as all eyes turned in that direction, hearts racing with unspoken questions. What awaited them beyond the storm? Would it be salvation or something entirely unexpected? The barking grew louder, cutting through the tension like a sudden shockwave. Sara's heart thudded in her chest, echoing the curiosity that danced among the crowd. The man beside her had gone rigid, eyes wide, scanning the area from where the sound originated. "Is that a puppy?" someone whispered, disbelief threading through the air. All around, people started to shift on their feet, excitement mingling with anticipation. A small boy, his face freckled with rain droplets, tugged at Sarah's sleeve. "Can we go see?" "Yes, let us go," she urged, glancing at the man. "Come on." As they moved towards the sound, the atmosphere crackled with anxious energy. The crowd parted, making way for the curious and the brave. Each step felt like an adventure, fueled by the hope that something beautiful awaited them beyond the edge of the pavilion. At the perimeter they found a small, scruffy puppy, its fur soaked and matted, struggling against the tangle of brush that had caught its collar. The little creature yelped, eyes wide and pleading. There was no mistaking the urgency and need communicated through its whimpers. "Oh, poor thing," Mia gasped, her voice a flutter of compassion. Sara knelt down, extending her hand slowly towards the puppy. "It's okay, buddy. We're here to help." She could feel the man's gaze on her, a mix of curiosity and fear. "Can you help me, please?" she called out, glancing back at him, her eyes full of earnestness. He stepped forward, uncertainty lined in his features but determination flickering at the edges. "What do I need to do?" "Just hold the puppy steady while I get it out," she instructed, feeling a surge of mutual purpose. The man knelt beside her, stretching his hands gently around the squirming little dog. Sara felt her pulse quicken as they coaxed the puppy free from the brush's hold. The warmth of the crowd enveloped them, whispers of encouragement flowing through the air like a gentle breeze. As the collar slipped off, the puppy sprang into the man's arms, tail wagging frantically, as if the very act of liberation sparked an electric joy. Sarah's heart melted watching him cradle the wet, shivering dog close to his chest. He looked down, momentarily lost in the big, expressive eyes staring back at him. "It's going to be okay, little one," he murmured softly, and for a long moment, the sky above seemed to lighten, perhaps in agreement. Mia clapped her hands in delight. "We saved it. We really did." Before long the crowd erupted into cheers, an echo of laughter mingling with hopeful barks. The man's expression shifted. A genuine smile broke through the uncertainty, illuminating his face like the sun breaking through clouds after a storm. With newfound confidence, he raised his hand, voice booming over the gathering. "Let us keep going. There are more out there who need us." A wave of energy surged through the crowd like electricity. People began to mobilize, organizing into groups, ready to search for more puppies in need. Excitement buzzed in the air, mingling with the smell of rain and hope. But just then that barking continued, louder and insistent. "What if this isn't the only one?" someone shouted, eyes turning towards the woods. Sara took a breath, surveying the determined faces surrounding her. This moment felt monumental, bursting with potential. "Maybe there are even more waiting for us," she said, heart racing with the possibilities. "Let us find them." But as they moved forward, another sound broke through, a sudden rustle in the bushes followed by a distinct growl. The crowd froze, the laughter dying a quick death. All eyes widened as they caught sight of a larger figure moving just beyond the tree line. What had they stumbled into? Would it be a new friend or something far more dangerous? The tension in the air thickened, a palpable wave of uncertainty washing over the crowd. Eyes darted to the bushes where the growl had emerged, hearts hammering in shared anxiety. Sara could feel her own breath quickening, a flutter of instinctual fear battling with the thrill of adventure. "Stay together," the man urged, his voice shaking slightly as he tightened his grip on the little puppy. The innocent creature, blissfully unaware of the looming threat, was still wagging its tail, captivated by the excitement around it. In contrast, the growling grew louder, a deep rumble that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. What could it be? A wild animal, a lost pet? The possibilities sent ripples of fear through the throng of people. She glanced up at the man, searching for strength in his gaze. He met her eyes, and in that brief moment, something unspoken passed between them. "I think we should back up a little," he whispered, taking a cautious step away from the noise. But just as they began to retreat, the figure in the bushes leaped forward, burst into view, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. It was a much larger dog, an imposing German shepherd, wet and muddy, but somehow regal in its stature. Its ears perked, displaying a mix of alertness and curiosity. The crowd murmured, unsure whether to celebrate or withdraw. "It's just a dog," Mia piped up, her eyes sparkling with a mix of adrenaline and wonder. Instantly, the man's demeanor shifted, his protective instinct igniting at the sight of the German Shepherd. "Wait, let me try," he said, kneeling down. "Are you sure?" Sara asked, the worry knitting her brow. "What if it's scared or aggressive?" He took a steadying breath. "I'll be careful. We need to help it too." The crowd watched in tense silence, anticipation hanging heavy in the air. The man extended his free hand slowly, palm up, his voice soft and steady. "Hey there, buddy. You're all right. We just want to help." To everyone's surprise, the German Shepherd's growling ceased, replaced by curious sniffing. Its eyes softened too, drawn in by the sight of the puppy. The chatter in the crowd turned into whispers of hope. Cautiously, the man began to inch closer, the puppy squirming in his arms but instinctively sensing that they were allies in this moment. Then it happened. The German Shepherd stepped forward, regal yet relaxed, as it crept towards the pair. Moments stretched into what felt like an eternity. Would it attack, or could they reach it in time? Suddenly, the larger dog wagged its tail, a clear sign of submission. The man's smile returned in an instant, lighting up his entire face. "See? It's just scared," he said, relief washing over him as he confidently continued to approach. The crowd exhaled as one, eyes glued to the miraculous moment. Sara felt her heart swell, the doubt slowly lifting like the last wisps of morning fog. "Let us get it out of here," she urged, the excitement bubbling back to the surface. The man nodded, and together, they slowly coaxed the German Shepherd away from its hiding spot, offering gentle words and assurance. As the dog emerged into the light, other people began to step forward, cooing encouragingly. The moment felt special. More than just their efforts to rescue a dog, it was about connection, compassion, and the strength of community. But then the man froze as he caught something out of the corner of his eye. Sara followed his gaze, her heart plummeting as another sound erupted from the shadows, a bizarre call, a howl unlike anything she'd ever heard. The deafening noise sent others into a frenzied whisper, uncertainty swirling back into the atmosphere. "What else is out there?" the crowd murmured, eyes widening in fear and anticipation. Sara turned to the man, her heart racing again. "We need to go in there, don't we?" He met her gaze, a mixture of determination and fear in his eyes. "We do, but we should be ready for anything." What awaited them in the woods? Would they discover a pack of lost souls? Or something they never expected? The air felt electric, thick with suspense as everyone held their breath. Sara's heart raced, a drum echoing in her ears. She exchanged glances with the man, sensing the shared adrenaline fueling their decision. He tightened his grip on the puppy, who now seemed aware that something was off. The little creature whimpered softly, pressing against him as if asking for reassurance. "All right, let us do this," he finally said, his voice steady yet low, a command wrapped in courage. They began to move, the crowd cautiously following, curiosity overcoming their fear. An unspoken bond formed as they stepped forward, some holding hands, while others grasped the leashes of their dogs tighter. With every step deeper into the woods, the surroundings seemed to grow darker and more foreboding. The trees towered high, their branches tangled like arms gripping them back, whispering secrets neither Sara nor the man could decipher. Shadows danced ominously as if they were alive, and that haunting howl echoed again, sending chills skimming up Sara's spine. "What was that?" Mia whispered, glancing around nervously. The question hung there, heavy and unanswered. But determination surged through Sara. "We need to find the source. Someone could be in trouble." It came out stronger than she felt, but the thought of a lost soul in need gave her the push to forge ahead. They arrived at a clearing, and the atmosphere shifted. A sense of urgency lingered among the group as they scanned their surroundings. The sound of rustling leaves stopped their hearts momentarily, and then nothing but silence enveloped them, a stark contrast to the fight that had filled the air moments before. Suddenly, from behind thick branches, a large figure emerged. It was another dog, scruffy and wild-looking, its eyes wide with fear. This time, however, it was not alone. Following closely were 2 more dogs, then 3 more. A whole pack. Their thin bodies were malnourished, and their sightings wild with desperation. "While they look abandoned," the man said, lowering the puppy in his arms. It let out a small yipe, sensing the tension, mirroring the transformation taking place in everyone's minds. A mix of heartbreak and compassion lit across their faces. Sara gasped at the sight, feeling heat rise in her chest. We can't just leave them. Her voice shook, filled with empathy. We have to help them get out of here. Easier said than done, the man replied, but there was a flicker of hope in his eyes. Inch by inch the pack approached, their noses close to the ground, assessing the situation. But they were wary. Another howl pierced the air, this one different, more anguished than before. It cut like a knife, stirring emotions buried deep within the heart of the crowd. Maybe they're scared of us, Sara said softly, her heart aching. But they need us. They need to trust us. As she spoke, she stepped further into the clearing. Kneeling down, palms open and inviting. The man, his face etched with concern yet fueled by her courage, knelt beside her. Hey, it's all right, he called, voice soothing. We just want to help. The moment hung in balance. Would the dogs come closer? Would they take a step toward humanity after all the betrayal they had faced? Hope flickered at the edges of Sara's heart, but so did fear of what might happen if they turned away. Fear of the unknown that lay ahead. Then slowly a small dog from the pack took a tentative step forward, sniffing the air. Does that mean hope was dawning? Would they all gather enough strength to move forward together? Sara held her breath, anticipation thickening the air. Just then the brush shifted again, and the source of that last howl stumbled into view, a more massive dog, its mane matted and torn. There was fierceness in its eyes, and Sara's instinct flipped in an instant. Wait! She shouted, her heart pounding. It could be dangerous. What would they face next? Would the pack accept their help? Or was there more danger lurking in the shadows of the woods? The massive dog stepped forward, its gait unsteady but resolute. Sara's heartbeat quickened. She could see the hurt etched deep within its eyes, a tale of suffering that no one should endure. She hesitated, torn between instinctual fear and the wave of compassion that warmed her chest. The crowd behind her shifted, a wave of whispered concerns rippling through them. Stay back! The man's voice commanded just above a murmur, but Sara shook her head, her resolve settling like a thick cloak over her shoulders. They couldn't turn back now, not when these dogs needed them the most. Please, we just want to help, she spoke softly, inching forward as the others stayed behind. The shiver in her voice didn't escape her. Yet she pushed through the fear that plagued the area like a cold mist. The fierce dog stopped, its eyes narrowing as if piecing together her plea. She could see the muscles in its frame tense, ready to spring, but that fire in the gaze portrayed a flicker of curiosity too. With every ounce of courage, she reached a little closer, crouching on the ground to make herself small, non-threatening. You're safe. Promise. Murmurs faded into silence as the pack watched, jaws clenched, waiting for something, anything to break. And then, in a heart-stopping moment, the big dog took a step closer, its eyes never leaving Sara's. A glimmer of hope ignited in her heart, spurring her onward. She slowly extended her hand, fingers outstretched, palm open. The small dog beside her, once nervous, nuzzled closer, almost pushing her forward into the moment. There was comfort in their shared vulnerability, a reminder that even the scared needed compassion. With cautious steps, the massive dog approached her, whiskers brushing against her hand. She could feel the warmth radiating from its body, an anchor in that chaotic moment. As it sniffed at her palm, an involuntary gasp escaped her lips. Was it really happening? The crowd began to inch forward, drawn in by a shared sense of purpose. Tentatively, one of the malnourished dogs ventured closer, then another, as their desire to connect overcame their fear. Sara glanced back and met the man's eyes. A smile broke across his face, the weight of this moment crashing into them both. Together they were on the edge of something beautiful, a chance to connect, to heal, and to save. Look, they're trusting us, he exclaimed, his voice now tinged with excitement. The tension in the air lightened like a balloon letting go of air. But behind the initial sparks of hope, another howl echoed through the woods, puncturing the moment. This one was different, saturated with a more profound sorrow. Startled, the dogs reacted, their attention shifting. Where's that coming from? Mia whispered, wide-eyed. Before anyone could respond, from between the trees, another figure emerged. A tiny pup, barely holding itself up, limped toward them. Its eyes were filled with dread, a silent plea radiating from its feeble frame. "This little one is in trouble," Sara murmured, her heart lurching again. "Someone has to go get it." The man breathed, urgency coursing through his voice. Sara's mind raced. Could they possibly approach this fragile creature without spooking it into the darkness? What more could lurk in the woods? She looked at the gathering pack, feeling the energy shift. A tear slipped from her eye, but it wasn't just fear. It was the ache of empathy. "Okay, we have to be quick and quiet," she said, determination setting in again. "Together we can do this." Would they save the pup? Would they be ready to face whatever shadows haunted the woods? They had taken the first step toward turning fear into hope. But now, with darkness still lingering, would they find the courage to uncover the truth hidden beneath the howls? As they gathered their courage, Sara felt a surge of determination. "All right, everyone," she said, her voice steady despite the lingering doubts. "We need a plan. Together we can get that little one back to safety." The man nodded, rallying the group. "We'll move slowly like we did with the bigger dogs. Let us keep our voices low and our hearts open." Mia and Ethan exchanged glances, their young faces glowing with a mixture of excitement and concern. Watching them stirred a deep sense of purpose within Sara. They were on the brink of something great, united by a cause that transcended their own fears. A mission to bring hope to those who needed it most. The pack of dogs shifted. A harmonious melody of soft barks filled the air as they sensed the resolve building among the humans. With Ed, the man, leading the charge closely behind Sara, they forged ahead into the thickening shadows of the woods. "Stay close," he whispered as they stepped carefully over moss-covered roots and under low-hanging branches. Each moment felt charged with the promise of possibility. Sara led the way, her eyes scanning the underbrush, heart thrumming in sync with the rhythm of urgency pulsing through them all. They spotted the tiny pup again, struggling to make its way through the tangled foliage, desperation evident in its every pitiful whimper. "We're coming for you, buddy," Sara called softly, just above a whisper. Each step transformed fear into purpose, pulling them closer to the suffering soul that desperately needed their help. Suddenly, the little pup turned its head, locking eyes with Sara. It was a moment suspended in time, the dark shadows of the woods fading as those two souls connected, a spark of hope igniting in the darkness. "You're not alone," she promised, kneeling once more, reaching her hand out, palm open and inviting. It was then that the moment of truth arrived. The tiny creature took a cautious step forward, inching its way toward Sara's outstretched hand. The small body shivered, but amidst the uncertainty, there was a glimmer of trust glistening in its eyes. "Easy does it," Ed murmured, crouching beside Sara. Together they called softly, coaxing the pup. "You're safe here. You're going to be all right." And just like that, the pup stumbled closer, until at last, it allowed Sara to gently scoop it up into her arms, cradling it close against her heart. Tears of warmth blurred her vision as an overwhelming wave of love surged through her. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices hitting the canopy above like summer rain. "We did it!" Mia shouted, her heart swelling with pride. But Ed's face darkened slightly as another sound echoed from beyond the trees. This one held a deep, mournful tone, sending ripples of unease through the group. "What else is out there?" someone whispered, trepidation slipping through their excitement. The pack began to shift again, but Sara held the rescued pup close, feeling the warmth of its little body pressing into her. "We can handle anything," she declared, voice resolute. As if summoned by her belief, a larger silhouette broke through the trees. Another dog, its coat rugged and wild, but it moved toward them with cautious grace. The crowd hushed, the tension stretching thin as the newcomer stepped into the light. With every inch of its advance, Sara could see the weariness etched on the dog's features, matted fur, a gaunt frame and worn-out eyes that told stories of heartache. Her heart ached, realizing this was yet another lost soul searching for connection. Could they help the dog too? Would it trust them? Fear washed over her like waves crashing violently against the shore. "Let us approach together," Ed suggested, determination lining his features once more. As they moved as a unit, Sara felt emboldened not only by her own strength, but by the growing energy of the community rallying behind her. At that moment the air shifted again. The energy within the crowd grew electric as they took careful steps toward the new dog. "We're not here to hurt you," Sara called out gently, feeling her heart align with the rhythm of compassion. Finally, the dog stopped, tilting its head as if contemplating their intentions. As Sarah's hand slowly extended again, she could sense the weight of generations of fear relinquishing into the beams of light from the hearts surrounding her. In a flash, the dog stepped closer, intuition guiding it toward the warmth they radiated. It let out a soft whimper, a sound that melted the tension lingering in the air. With everyone holding their breath, Sara felt a deep release, a moment knitted with hope, the unification of desires pulling them heart to heart in an unbreakable bond. "Come here," she whispered softly again, and as if compelled by the power of love, the unyielding desire to heal, the larger dog moved forward, stepping into her embrace, allowing its body to press against her hand, accepting the connection she offered. A loud cheer erupted behind them, powerful and intertwined with joy, enveloping the newly formed family like a warm embrace, echoing through the woods. And at that moment, the hopeful howls of newfound companionship rang through the forest, merging with the sounds of children laughing and people celebrating. They were transforming the shadows into light, laughing joyfully at the beautiful chaos of community collaboration. But then their eyes returned to the woods, each wondering what else awaited beyond their newfound friendships. Would they find the strength to continue this good fight, to give a voice to the dreams that lived both in their hearts and in the eyes of these precious dogs? As if in answer, the pack began to move forward, led by the group's budding determination. With every step away from fear, driven by love, they emerged from the shadows into a bond stronger than anything imagined, a radiant possibility for every life lost to despair. A new life blossoming in the embrace of hope. This was only the beginning, a journey into the wild for those who had waited so long for something better. They would fight together, melding pain and possibility, building a brighter future one paw at a time. Sara stood tall, gripping the tiny pup close, her heart swelling. Together we'll find them all. And at the heart of it, with each beating pulse, the community realized together they were more than just a group. They were family, united in purpose. This was their moment to shine, as they embarked on a mission that would change lives not just for the dogs, but for themselves as well. Now let us keep this transformation going. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.